Hi, I'm Mark Lawson, president of Morningstar Music Publishers, and we are here today with Kelly Dobbs-Mickus from our staff and composer Luke Mayernik. And we're going to talk with Luke about his publication, the Five Graces Psalter, that we released a couple of years ago, but that is continuing to be very popular. So Luke, welcome. Glad that you're here.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Kelly. It's really great to be here.
Tell us a little about your background and your current position.
So I began piano lessons when I was 7, went to Oregon when I was about 11, and I've always wanted to be a church musician. And I took lessons from a lady by the name of Burl Fleming, who happened to live to be 105 years old. And she was from my hometown. And, you know, I've always had that composition bug, I remember at a very young age. So I was always kind of, just kind of toying with ideas on the piano. My parents would actually have to say, Luke, the piano carries upstairs like in the middle of the night. So, I had to, so then, get a keyboard and stuff, and I got headphones and everything. So I was able to kind of do that. So I got my degrees in organ performance, and I've got a master's degree in composition, and I was working on a doctorate in composition at UT. Actually, about 2 years ago, my wife and I moved to Mason, Ohio, because I was offered the position of director of music at St. Susanna in Mason.
Luke, we thought we'd ask you a little bit about, what made you decide to do this, and what did you think the need was, or what was your idea from the outset of the project to do a whole set of lectionary psalms?
That's actually been a personal and professional dream of mine, to set the entire Psalter, and that actually started back in 2007 when I was appointed the cathedral organist in Wheeling, West Virginia. And I remember there was a couple of diocesan liturgies where there were psalms that were needed but I couldn't find any settings for. And I just said, well, I'll just start. And that's how it started. And of course, I've always been so inspired by Michel Guillemot, because I thought that his approach to the lectionary Psalter in my young mind, was just so revolutionary and so fresh, as Robert Battistini eloquently puts it, very fresh. And I, starting in 2007, so basically this has been like a 10-year project. I mean, Kelly and I, we worked so close together in the editing process of that. There were a lot of rewrites, a lot of revisions. And that's how it started. And it started from a very practical standpoint. So it was able to actually, being at the cathedral for 5 years and having the worship aids and people actually seeing the boxed refrains and singing along, I was able to garner, what worked, what didn't work. And that was incredibly helpful. It was kind of like this real-time workstation with real people.
It always helps to, when you're writing something, it helps to try it out on somebody.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
It's going to work or not.
Yeah.
And then can you say, from that point to the published work, what do you think the collection does, or where does it go that previous lectionary collections have not done or gone?
Wow, that's a tough question. I think the strength of the Psalter is that I think it appeals to both people that enjoy traditional and contemporary music. I think that's a huge strength of the Five Graces Psalter. It has enough musical substance for the discerning ear. It has enough melodic appeal to someone who isn't necessarily a professional musician, but just can carry a tune and can maybe carry that tune throughout the entire week and sing it as a prayer, either at work or in the car or whatever. And also, because of the freshness, and it's kind of I kind of took the Guillemot Psalms as kind of a springboard, a point of departure. and because I wanted to kind of just be a little more edgy maybe, or daring with the harmonic choices, especially with the psalm tones. And because of the melodic appeal, I think, and because that there is that substance there, that both contemporary music programs and traditional music programs can really get a lot, out of them. So there are a lot there there are a lot of homages to certain composers, because as we all know, composers can only tell in their own way what they've already been told.
Just to build on that a little bit, I would agree with everything you said. I think the fact that they're musically substantial is part of what made them so much fun to work on with you.
Right.
But it also, I think when people look at them, sometimes they think maybe they're too difficult. And there is often more going on there musically than you would typically see. However, it's worth it, and I think they're really singable by an assembly, and I'd really encourage people to give them a try if they haven't already. So I think another direction the psalms went was just in terms of their performance, because you really built into this an option for choirs to sing the verses, and that's fairly new. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so originally, as I'm sure you know, Kelly and Mark, that the psalm tones, although they were harmonically the same, I had quite a bit of voices in those chords. And I remember John Romeri, and of course you, Kelly, saying, I think a 4-part treatment of this would be really, really great, because, obviously we can really encourage choirs or sections to either chant the melody, or maybe 2-part, or the full chorus. Maybe have the choir, maybe have the basses, the tenors, and the altos ooh, while maybe the soprano, like the melodic line of the psalm tone is sung. So that was a really great way to go back and be really creative with the 4-part writing. So when you look at the 4-part writing of the Psalter, there are some interesting jumps and interesting voice leading choices that I made. And I think it's only because I just wanted to kind of really keep the essence of the harmonic language within the psalm tones. Because in the Psalter, there are so many psalm tones that are repeated. There's probably, I would say there's probably about 20 tones, maybe 21 that are repeated throughout the entire 3-year lectionary Psalter. This is a great way in choir rehearsal, if you wanted to build up, maybe working towards like motets and anthems, is to actually work with those psalm tones in rehearsal, because it kind of gets them, thinking a little more independently, but also, being able to listen to the whole group and kind of, really mixing and blending together. So especially with the with the strong syllables and singing to the strong words of the phrase.
I might say that the choral parts are offered in different books, that we tried to put them in church year order, so that you wouldn't have to have this monstrous book in your choir folder all year long, but that you could change them in or out. That's a unique feature too. So
just to be clear, we have the full edition that looks like this, the full spiral bound book for all 3 cycles, years A, B, and C, for the Sundays and solemnities and feasts. And then there are choral editions that are smaller, like octavo size, and there'd be one for Advent and one for Christmas, one for Lent, that sort of thing. Ordinary Time is broken up into 3 different editions, I think. But then all of them are also available online individually as a download. So you can find those on Morningstar's website. If you just look up the Five Graces Psalter, you'll find them there.
And you can actually find them on our planning page under the Catholic Lectionary as well.
Yeah. And Luke also has them on his website, right?
Yeah, you can go to lukemmusic.com, and you'll see up in the top, you'll see a 5GP, so the Five Graces Psalter. Just click that, and then it'll take you to wherever it is you need to go.
To wrap this up, I think that a lot of people are experiencing the fact that their having to do online worship for the first time that they've ever experienced. And also, of course, choirs aren't meeting at the present time. Do you find yourself using these during this time? And if so, any tips or unique things you'd like to say about how to use these during this pandemic?
Yes. So, Mark, thank you for bringing that up. Yes. So we have been using them. I know that, that there have been a lot of other churches that are using them as well, like some cathedrals and parishes that are live streaming. I've received a lot of emails actually from these churches like, hey, thanks, this has been great. I think because so many of them are so memorable, and because of some of the COVID guidelines of dioceses and archdiocesan guidelines with no hymnals, these are great for the communion processions, for the live stream masses, and obviously for the responsorial psalm, because the melodies are so memorable, and of course the refrains are the very well-known ISIL refrains.
Well, thank you for taking time to visit with us. And Kelly, thank you for your wonderful work on this project. So if you'd like to see samples or hear samples, feel free to go to our website, and you can find a lot of material there that would help you out. So thank you very much, Luke. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Mark, and thank you, Kelly.
Thanks.
Right. Have a good day.
All right, you too.